What happens when a senator's entitled daughter thinks New Year's Eve erases every law and then mocks a Vietnam veteran she has just injured? The first officer says, "Miss Hartley, you caused a serious crash." Madison laughs and replies, "Relax. It is New Year's. Everyone drinks. My father will fix this in one call." A witness reacts. She is not even asking about the man who is trapped. Another officer snaps. "A veteran is hurt. Show respect." Madison rolls her eyes. "It is not my problem. My father controls half the city." The courtroom hears every word. Stay to see Judge Caprio's reaction, and stay to see what happens when her father is called next. Is this really necessary? Madison Hartley whispered, her voice sharp with annoyance as she glanced around the courtroom. "I have important plans today." The clerk replied softly, "It is January 3rd, Miss Hartley. Everyone here has responsibilities." Judge Caprio entered with quiet authority, and the room settled. Robert Sullivan stood near the podium, steady but visibly strained. He spoke gently. "I just want to settle, Judge. I come here every January to help the kids at the shelter. I cannot miss another year." Madison rolled her eyes. "I am not ruining anyone's tradition. It was just a small mistake." Robert's voice tightened. "A mistake that injured me." Madison folded her arms. "I already said it was not my fault." At the New Year's Eve party, music echoed while Madison lifted another glass of champagne. A friend murmured, "Maybe slow down." Madison laughed loudly. "Everyone drinks. I am perfectly fine." Witness whispers followed her out to the parking area. One voice said, "She should not drive." Another replied, "Try telling her that." Traffic footage later showed her swerving as streetlights streaked across the windshield. Robert crossed carefully with a small bag of donated supplies when her car lunged forward. A sickening thud. Robert collapsed. In the aftermath, an officer rushed toward her. "Miss, step out of the vehicle." Madison waved him off. "Do not speak to me like that. You know who my father is." Robert groaned in pain. Madison glared. "I said it was his fault for walking too slowly." Madison stepped into the courtroom with a slow, dismissive glance at everyone present. She whispered to her attorney, "Let's finish this quickly." Her attorney leaned closer and spoke with a polished political tone. "Remember, your family name carries weight. Stay calm, and this will pass." Across the room, Robert arrived with careful steps. His shoulders stiffened with every movement. He held a small folder close to his chest. He had filed the case himself, and he carried it with quiet dignity. A woman in the gallery whispered, "That is the veteran she injured." Another replied, "He looks like he is still in pain." Madison sighed loudly. "He is exaggerating." Robert looked at her with tired eyes. "I am only seeking justice." Judge Caprio reviewed the documents, his calm expression suggesting that a difficult conversation was coming. Madison stepped forward with a confident tilt of her chin. "Judge, I want to make something clear before we waste more time. It was New Year's. People celebrate. People drink. People relax. This entire situation is being exaggerated." Robert looked down for a moment, then raised his voice gently. "Judge, I was crossing the street with donated supplies. I did not expect a car to come at me like that." Madison let out a soft laugh. "You stepped in front of me. I did not even hit you that hard." Judge Caprio folded his hands. "Miss Hartley, please stop. We have footage, statements, and medical reports. This is a serious matter." Madison sighed dramatically. "Serious to some, maybe, but not to me. I already apologized. What else do people want?" The judge spoke slowly. "Your apology was delivered while you were arguing with the officers and complaining about your schedule. That is not an apology. That is convenience." She frowned. "I was under stress. Everyone was yelling at me." Robert shook his head. "Only after you told the officer that I should not have walked outside on a holiday." Madison waved a dismissive hand. "I said that because you surprised me. I did not see you. It was dark. The street was noisy. The whole night was chaotic." Judge Caprio turned to the clerk. "Please play the body camera footage." A soft click echoed as the footage began on the monitor. Madison's drunken voice filled the courtroom. "Get that man off the road. He ruined my night." People in the gallery shifted uncomfortably. The officer's recorded voice followed. "Miss, please stop shouting. We need you to take a breath test." Madison's recorded tone was cold. "My father is a senator. Make smarter choices." The footage continued with Robert's groan of pain and her recorded response. "He is acting." The monitor went dark. Back in the courtroom, Madison crossed her arms. I was emotional. Anyone would be. The camera makes it sound worse. Judge Caprio replied calmly, "The camera does not alter intent. It only captures it." Her attorney leaned forward. "Judge, if I may." The judge lifted a hand. "Counselor, no. Your client is speaking for herself. I will hear her." Madison shot her attorney an annoyed look. "See? No one here respects the process." Robert spoke softly. "I respect the process. That is why I filed this case, Miss Hartley. I want accountability." She turned toward him sharply. "You got in my way. You made this complicated. If you had moved faster, none of this would have happened." A ripple of disbelief moved through the gallery. Judge Caprio leaned closer. "Miss Hartley, this is your last warning. You will not blame the victim in my courtroom." Madison pulled out her phone under the desk and began typing quickly. The light from the screen flickered against her hand. Judge Caprio noticed. "Miss Hartley, put the phone away." She continued typing. "I am sending my father an update. He needs to know what kind of treatment I am getting here." The judge's voice tightened. "Miss Hartley, hand me the phone." She froze. "Why?" "This is private." "Because you are disrespecting the court, and you are doing it openly." Her attorney whispered urgently. Madison listened to him. She ignored both men and kept typing. The judge stood. "Miss Hartley, bring me the phone. Now." Everyone in the room stayed silent. She scoffed. "This is ridiculous." She held out the phone with 2 fingers, as if it were beneath her. Judge Caprio took it, scanned the screen briefly, and his eyes narrowed. "You texted your father, and this fast. Use your connections." Gasps filled the gallery. Robert whispered. She tried to pressure the court. Madison lifted her chin stubbornly. "I was asking for help, not pressure." Judge Caprio placed the phone on his bench. "This courtroom is not a place for influence or threats. We follow fairness here. What you just attempted is not acceptable." Her confidence wavered for the first time. "I did nothing wrong." "You attempted to interfere with the process." Robert watched quietly. The judge continued. "This is no longer just about the night of the crash. This is about your attitude toward justice." Madison swallowed hard, but her voice fought to stay firm. "I only did what anyone else with resources would do." Judge Caprio shook his head slowly. "No, Miss Hartley. Most people do not use power to escape responsibility." The tension grew heavier, and for the first time, the arrogance in Madison's eyes flickered with uncertainty. Robert stepped toward the podium with slow, careful movements. His breath trembled as he rested both hands on its edges. For a moment, he said nothing. The room waited. Finally, his voice emerged, steady but fragile. "Judge, I would like to explain why I was out there that night. I was not out celebrating. I was carrying a small bag of supplies for the veterans' shelter. I go there every New Year's. It is my tradition. Some of the men, they're served with me. Some never made it home right. I try to remind them that they are not forgotten." He paused to gather air. "I am 68 years old. My body carries old wounds. I do not move fast anymore, but I am still proud. I still try to serve however I can." Madison rolled her eyes. "No one is questioning your service. This is irrelevant." Robert closed his eyes for a moment. "Irrelevant," he repeated softly, "is a painful word, Miss Hartley." Judge Caprio leaned forward. "Let him continue." Robert nodded gratefully. "Judge, after my wife passed 10 years ago, the holidays became quiet. Too quiet. The shelter gave me purpose. When I see the younger veterans try to rebuild their lives, it reminds me that healing is possible. I try to bring them comfort, even a little." His voice strained at the edges. "That night, I crossed the street like I always do. The light was on my side. I had the bag in my hand. I remember hearing a car coming fast. I thought it would slow. I thought the driver saw me." He swallowed hard, but the car kept coming. Madison muttered, "You should have stepped back." Robert's voice cracked. "I could not step back fast enough. My knee was injured in Vietnam. It never healed properly. When the car hit me, the pain shot through my side like fire. I remember falling. I remember trying to breathe. I remember thinking I might not get up again." The gallery fell silent. Robert continued, "But the worst pain was not the injury. The worst pain was hearing laughter. I heard it clearly. I looked up, and Miss Hartley was laughing. Not with joy, not with relief. It was disbelief, shock, something else. But it felt cold." Madison straightened. I laughed because the situation was chaotic. I did not laugh at you. Robert's eyes welled but did not spill. Miss Hartley, when a man is lying on the ground, gasping for air, and he hears laughter, he does not forget it. Judge Caprio's jaw tightened. Robert took a deep breath. I served this country for decades. I survived ambushes. I survived explosions. I survived nights when I thought I would never see my wife again. I carried my friends when they fell. I carried the memories when they did not get back up. Through every battle, through every struggle, I tried to hold on to my dignity. He touched his chest. But that night, lie on the pavement, while strangers asked if I was alive, and hearing Miss Hartley say I ruined her night, that took something from me. Madison snapped. I said that because I was scared. Robert turned to her. Fear does not sound like blame. Fear does not sound like entitlement. Fear does not sound like he is acting. Fear does not tell an officer to hurry, because your plans are more important than someone's pain. Her lips tightened, but she stayed silent. Robert went on. Judge, I did not file this case to punish her. I filed it because I wanted to understand something. Actions have weight. Words have weight. Lives collide in a single moment, and they change forever. His voice grew softer. I have lived long enough to know forgiveness. I have lived long enough to know that people make mistakes. But forgiveness does not come when someone refuses to see the harm they caused. Madison's face flushed. You are making me sound heartless. I did not mean any of this the way you think. Robert shook his head gently. Meaning is not louder than impact. The room held its breath. He finished quietly. Judge, all I want is acknowledgement. I want to know that my pain mattered. I want to know that my service and my efforts to help others are not something to mock or minimize. I want to know that people with power do not get to laugh while the rest of us struggle to stand. Judge Caprio's voice lowered with emotion. Mr. Sullivan, your words will not be ignored. They carry the weight of a life lived with courage. He glanced at Madison, and they demand respect. Madison shifted in her seat, uncertainty flickering across her expression for the first time, but she said nothing. The courtroom door opened slightly, and Madison's attorney whispered to the clerk. The clerk approached the bench and spoke softly. Judge, Senator Hartley is requesting to speak. He says it is urgent. Judge Caprio nodded once. Put him on speaker. A phone was placed on the stand, and the senator's voice came through, firm and controlled. Judge Caprio, thank you for allowing this. Madison straightened with relief. Father, please tell them. He cut her off instantly. Madison stopped speaking. The silence that followed was heavy. The senator continued. Judge, I listened to the recordings and the testimonies. My daughter contacted me this morning. She told me the situation was unfair. But after hearing what happened in this courtroom, I feel something very different. Madison blinked rapidly. Father, you do not understand. They are making me look terrible. Say something. He replied with a steady, disappointed tone. Madison, they are not making you look terrible. You did that yourself. Her breath caught. You are supposed to defend me. I am supposed to guide you, he said firmly. And sometimes guidance hurts. Robert lowered his eyes, moved by the senator's honesty. Senator Hartley continued. Judge Caprio, I know the honor of this courtroom. I know the fairness you bring. My daughter tried to use my name to escape responsibility. That is unacceptable. I am ashamed that she attempted it. Madison shook her head. Father, please do not say that here. He did not soften. You endangered a man who served his country. You blamed him. You minimized his pain. And then you attempted to influence the legal process to protect your reputation. This is not the way you were raised. Madison's voice cracked. I was scared. I did not know what to do. At your age, he answered, fear should encourage honesty, not arrogance. Judge Caprio watched Madison carefully as her emotional defenses weakened. The senator sighed deeply. Judge, I have only one request. Treat her like anyone else. In fact, if you must, treat her more strictly, because she knew better. A murmur spread across the gallery. Madison stepped closer to the phone. You want them to punish me? No, Madison, he replied gently. I want them to teach you, because I failed somewhere, and now the world must correct what I could not. Tears gathered in her eyes, but she fought to hold them back. You are abandoning me. I am holding you accountable, he said softly. There is a difference. Madison pressed her palms together, trembling. I did not think it would go this far. Judge Caprio responded. Actions bring consequences, Miss Hartley, but Consequences can also bring growth. The senator spoke one final time. Judge, I trust your judgment completely. Do what is right. The line went silent. Madison stood frozen, caught between humiliation and the first stirrings of humility. Judge Caprio folded his hands, maintaining the balance of authority and compassion. Miss Hartley, this is now your moment to decide who you will become after this. Judge Caprio took a slow breath and looked first at Robert, then at Madison. His voice held calm strength. There are moments in this courtroom when the law must speak, and there are moments when the heart must speak. Today, Miss Hartley, both are speaking to you. He leaned forward slightly. Accountability is not a punishment. Accountability is a guide. It shows us where we went wrong and how we can become better. When we avoid responsibility, we trade growth for comfort, and comfort is a poor teacher. Madison lowered her gaze, but the judge continued gently. Mr. Sullivan stands here after serving this country, after carrying pain most people cannot imagine. He still chooses compassion. He still chooses service. He did not come here today to destroy you. He came here because your actions hurt him, and your attitude wounded him even more. The judge's tone softened. When someone has lived a life of service, the least we can offer is respect. Veterans carry invisible scars. They do not ask for special treatment. They ask for dignity. They ask for acknowledgement. You did not offer that on the night of the crash, and you did not offer it in the days after. Madison's voice trembled. I was overwhelmed. I understand overwhelmed, the judge replied. But overwhelmed does not allow arrogance. Overwhelmed does not excuse laughing when someone is on the ground. Overwhelmed does not justify calling for influence to escape the truth. He paused, letting the silence settle. Miss Hartley, humility is not weakness. Humility is strength. It means seeing others. It means understanding that your life touches their lives, sometimes in ways you cannot reverse. The gallery listened intently. Judge Caprio continued. Your father said something important. Guidance sometimes hurts. Today is one of those days. But pain that teaches can become wisdom, if you allow it. Madison swallowed hard, trying to steady her breathing. Now I ask you something directly, the judge said, his voice dropping to a sincere tone. If you were sitting at home, watching this hearing as an ordinary citizen, and you saw a young woman treat a veteran this way, what would you say? What would you feel? What would you expect this court to do? The question hung in the air. Madison did not answer. Her silence spoke louder than her earlier confidence. Judge Caprio folded his hands. This courtroom is not a place where power wins. It is a place where truth wins. And sometimes truth humbles us. But humility is the doorway to becoming the person we were meant to be. He looked at her one last time. Miss Hartley, today is not about shame. It is about transformation. The question now is this. Are you ready to let this moment change you? The room stayed still, waiting for her response. Judge Caprio adjusted his glasses, reviewing the papers before him. The courtroom waited in absolute stillness. When he finally spoke, his tone was steady and unmistakably firm. Miss Hartley, after hearing all testimony, reviewing the footage, and considering your conduct in and out of this courtroom, I am issuing the following sentence. Madison's shoulders tensed. The judge continued. First, you will complete 200 hours of community service at the Providence Veteran Center. You will work directly with the men and women who serve this country, including those who struggle daily with the very injuries you dismissed. Madison's eyes widened. 200 hours? Judge, that is extreme. He did not pause. Second, you will attend a 12-week alcohol responsibility program. You will complete every session, and you will submit proof to this court. Her attorney rose quickly. Your Honor, this sentence is disproportionate. My client is a first-time offender, and... Judge Caprio lifted a single hand. Sit down. The attorney froze, then obeyed. Third, the judge continued. You will write a formal letter of apology to Mr. Sullivan. This letter will not be political. It will not be written by your attorney. It will come from you, and it will be approved by the court before it is delivered. Madison shook her head in disbelief. Judge, you cannot force sincerity. No, he replied, but I can require effort. He turned the page. Fourth, your license is suspended for 6 months. During that time, you will rely on public transportation. I believe walking in the world without privilege might give you perspective. Madison whispered, This will follow me forever. The judge replied calmly, Consequences often do. And finally, you will pay restitution for Mr. Sullivan's medical bills and physical therapy sessions. Every cent. Her attorney stood again. Your Honor, this financial requirement is unreasonable. Miss Hartley is being punished for her family name. Judge Caprio's voice grew tighter. She is being held accountable for her actions, not her name, not her father. Her actions. The attorney tried one more time. We request reconsideration. You may request, the judge said plainly, but the answer is no. Madison stared at the floor, her breathing shallow. This is not fair. You are ruining my life. Robert stepped forward with quiet dignity. Miss Hartley, he said gently, no one here wants to ruin your life. I only want you to understand mine. I survived much harder things in this courtroom. I want you to learn something from this experience. That is all. His voice carried no bitterness. Madison looked at him, stunned by his calm strength. Two officers standing near the back exchanged glances, then addressed the judge respectfully. Your Honor, one said, thank you for making sure the truth mattered today. The judge nodded. Justice is not loud and it is not soft. It is steady. And today it is spoken. He turned to Madison one final time. Your sentence is official. This hearing is concluded. The gavel struck, echoing through the room like the closing of a chapter Madison had never expected to face. Madison Hartley stepped into the county jail with a heavy heart, the weight of her actions pressing down on her for the first time. The first week was tense and frustrating, but she began attending substance abuse counseling sessions. Each session forced her to confront choices she had long ignored. Within days, she started her community service at the Providence Veterans Center. She helped with meals, organized supplies, and spent hours listening to the stories of men and women who had sacrificed far more than she ever had. Each interaction chipped away at her arrogance, replaced gradually with humility. Weeks later, she stood in front of a classroom of college students, recounting the New Year's Eve accident. I thought my last name protected me. I thought New Year's Eve made reckless choices acceptable. It does not. Accountability is not optional. The students listened, wide-eyed, as she described the real consequences of drunk driving. 3 months later, Madison returned to the Veterans Center to meet Robert Sullivan. She approached slowly, voice shaking. Mr. Sullivan, I drove drunk and high. I injured you. I laughed while you were trapped. I threatened officers and tried to avoid responsibility. I was wrong. I am truly sorry. Robert looked at her, a small smile appearing. Madison, I did not serve so someone could nearly kill me and threaten others. I served so everyone is equal under the law. You have learned that now. Your apology is accepted. Over the year, Madison continued volunteering, attending all court-mandated programs, and speaking at 3 additional schools. She completed 400 hours of service, paid restitution, and fully participated in substance abuse programs. The transformation was visible not only in her actions, but in her attitude. She listened, helped, and learned from those around her. 1 year later, Madison was sober, committed to community service, and working as an advocate for veterans. She had faced the consequences of her actions fully, understood the weight of accountability, and embraced humility. The lessons of that New Year's Eve remain etched in her mind. Privilege does not grant immunity, and respect for others is earned, not assumed. The courtroom's final lesson had extended beyond legal consequences. It had reshaped a life. If you were shocked by Madison Hartley's story, hit that like button now. Share this video to remind others that privilege does not erase responsibility. Subscribe for more courtroom moments where justice and accountability meet head-on. New Year's Eve celebrations, parties, or excuses cannot justify endangering others. One night of poor decisions can change lives forever. Robert Sullivan's story shows that courage and service demand respect. And Madison's transformation proves that accountability can lead to real growth. We want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments and tell us what you would do if you saw someone trying to use power to escape responsibility. Your voice matters. Remember, the lesson here is simple but vital. No calendar day, no last name, no position of influence protects anyone from the consequences of harming others. Actions have weight. Respect is earned. And justice, when applied with fairness, changes lives. So do not scroll past. Share the story. Talk about it. Let the world know that New Year's is no excuse for recklessness, arrogance, or disrespect. Justice is not seasonal. It is constant, unwavering, and transformative.